Hi everyone, Annie from Stamp Anything, and today I'm going to show you a couple different ways how to make hang tags using the same products but 3 different ways. And for this we're going to need the little tag area from our Gatefold Mini Album, our woodland dies, and then we're going to be using our Joy word die, but you can do this however you'd like. So we're going to first start off doing an inlay version. And for that, and for all of these projects, what I'm going to use using from our mini album die is the part that makes the accordion pieces. So I'm going to cut 2 of them for the base for all of my hang tags here. And I'm just going to glue the 2 tabs together, and it is going to form a little hang tag. You can even do these, make a cute little note cards set that you can give out as gifts. I mean, you can make anything with these things, but I thought it would be really fun to make them as package hang tags for the holidays. I'm a little late because I know it's August now, but a lot of people were Christmas in Julying projects, and that's when I actually made our samples here. So yeah, here's my little Christmas in July. But then I just go ahead and I just glue these 2 tabs together. I'm just using a brayer because it's a thick cardstock I'm using. And when I open them up, the 2 tabs are kind of, well, this one's stuck really quick, but you'll see that it's kind of wiggled in the center. So then I'm just going to glue one side so it is completely flattened down. But using your different dies that you have, these turn out to be about a 3x3 little square or a little bit smaller than that. If you have small dies, you can make these for Valentine's Day, if you have for hearts, pumpkins for Halloween, however you want to do them. Okay, so now I also cut one of the panels also in my decorative paper, but I'm just going to clip off the little tab part because I don't need that. And again, I made all of these tags using the same products just so you could see different ways you can do it. And then I also cut a piece out of our 3M double-sided tape. So I went ahead and I cut out my word joy off of my top layer. I'm just getting all the pieces out because I will need the center of that O from my inlay part. And then I'm going to take my double-sided tape paper here, and I'm going to trim that off, and I'm actually going to trim it a little bit smaller than the die that cut it, just so that because I'm not really good at centering things perfectly when they're the same size, so I'm just trimming it so that it's a little bit smaller so I have that little bit of wiggle room. This double-sided adhesive tape is super sticky, so if you put it down, it's sticking, so there really isn't a lot of room for a mistake. So that is why I cut mine a little bit smaller than the piece that it's being attached to, because I definitely need that wiggle room for mistakes. And now the front side is sticky that I can then go ahead and place my word die that I cut out in red glitter paper, and it's going to go right in there. I don't have to worry about gluing it and anything oozing out. It's just going to go right in there because it is sticky from that double-sided sheet of paper that we put down. Okay. Super cute. And then we get, I actually just dropped the top of the J down on the floor, so you have to cut another one of them really quick. But there's the center to the O. And then I was looking for the top of the joy, and I could not find it. Isn't that always the way? So I thought I found it, but it turned out to be a piece of white and not the red. So I'm going to end up just cutting out a quick little top of the joy – in another piece of red glitter paper. I always lose those little pieces, so it's ridiculous. But there we go. Now we have the top of our joy, and now I can go ahead and put that into the space provided. And then you just have to decide, do you want your card to open portrait style or landscape style? I want it to be top opening, so I am going, because I want it to be a gift tag. Now I just have to remove the backing tape. This is what I love this paper because it makes it so much easier. And you just got to line that right up. No gluing necessary. Voila, it's going to stick for days and days. There we go. And what I love is the, we're going to punch a hole in the top here for our tag. And again, you don't have to make these into gift tags if you don't want to. You could just make a whole slew of them and then tie them up with some really pretty ribbon, and you can give them out as note cards. But you can do that with, you know, any decorating of that. I just wanted to show you guys a different way to use some of your dies, and I definitely wanted to show you that Gatefold Mini Accordion Album die that so many of you guys have. You can use it in this way. So now I'm using our woodland die, and I just found and cut the sprig looking ones. I thought that they looked really festive for the holidays, and we cut 2 per each card, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere those to the top. I really like foliage dies, and foliage stencils are some of my favorites of all things created, basically. So I just really, really love using them, and I love these little sprigs. Now, at first I used bigger dots, and then I realized that they're actually too big for my sprig, so I ended up just hole punching them with a standard hole punch. They were smaller, and they just fit better than the bigger ones. And so I'm just going to go ahead and glue those on in a set of 3. If you have alphabet dies, these would be really cute note cards to make, like as a monogram set for one of your friends with the initial of their names. Again, if you have hearts, you can make a Valentine's note card set. If you have Easter dies, I mean, you can do these for everything. If you have cupcakes or something birthday-wise, candles, you can make really cute a birthday set. And just, they're super, super quick to put together. Okay, so then I was going to originally use ribbon, but the ribbon just didn't give it that whole feel that I wanted. So I found that I had some red, white, and green twine, which was perfect. So I'm just going to go ahead and loop that through the hole, and then go ahead and tie it off at the length that I want it to be. And then I'm going to go ahead and trim the excess. And just like that, we have our first one done. This is our inlay version. It lays flat because we put the die in the actual cutout. And you can cut an extra piece in there to put on the inside, or just do your to and from. So the next one that we're going to go ahead and do is our shaker one. So again, I'm using these same exact pieces. I'm using the 2 for the base. I'm using a piece of acetate to go behind the cutout window of my joy for the shaker bit. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start constructing the card part again. So same as before, gluing the 2 tabs together. Super fast, super easy. They're going to fit perfectly because they are obviously a die, so they're going to be the same exact size. You don't got to measure anything. Just going to do our brayer here. Make sure I get a nice good adhesive connection there. And then I'm going to go ahead that inside piece once again and glue it down just so it lays flat on the inside. Okay, now for our top piece, we have our acetate, which you need for your little shaker window. And you just need a piece that's going to cover the actual part of what your shaker is going to be. I'm going to go ahead and glue that down in place. You could also use double-sided tape, but because we have that little dip with where the Y is, I wouldn't have been able to get that with double-sided tape, so that's why I decided to use the glue and in between each of the letters. So it really just depends on the die that you end up using, which would be a better choice if you used the glue or the tape. Okay, then we're just going to let that dry for a moment. And then we're going to get our shaker bits. And I have this really fun mix that I wanted to use. And again, we have to cut off our excess tab on this front piece. To make the fronts of our card. And then you're going to use your foam tape. And you don't have to do the canal or the frame for the shaker to be the whole backside. You just need the shaker, honestly, to be where the window is. So you save some of your shaker, but you need to foam tape the whole back of the card, but you only need to make the windowy part around where the actual shaker is going to be. So I'm just going to be putting down some foam tape and start building that up. And then you still have to put the foam tape around the whole card because otherwise you'll have a dip in the card when you adhere it to the front. But you just need the actual channel-y part to be around where your shaker is going to be. Ideally, if you think it out and plan it beforehand, depending if you're using foam tape or double-sided tape, whatever you're going to end up using, if you plan your placement of your die, you won't have to actually trim any of your foam tape and cut it in half like I'm going to have to do. Because if I had put the word die in the center of my card, I would have been able to just go right around it with the full length of my foam tape. But since I didn't, I have to cut it so I can get those little narrow areas on the side and the bottom of my word. And then I'm just going to butt that up to the edge of my card and then make sure it's not seen through the front side. And the only parts when you're doing this as well that needs to 100% connect and make a full all sides touching frame is the part that's going to be holding your shaker bits. The other parts of your card, the foam tape doesn't actually have to touch, but against that window, you really do need to make sure that it all pieces are touching. That way nothing escapes the little channel of the window for your bits. And because we're using more of like a tinsel type one in our card today than our normal shaker bits that we use, if we had left a little bit of a gap, that could have been quite horrendous with a leakage, with that glitter kind of going everywhere. And I'm just making sure the sides are all kind of nice because you're going to see that off to the side of the card when it's done. So I do not want to have, gaps in that area. So I'm just making sure at least all of the sides have even frame parts around. And also make sure that there's no dips that are going to end up happening as well. Okay, so I think I got everything I needed here. So what we're going to do next is you're going to get your prepping ready for your shaker bits. And again, depending on the thickness of your shakers will depend on how many layers of foam tape you're going to need. I would not recommend anything thick because then your tag is going to look kind of wonky if it's really, really thick. Okay, so I have, again, like I said, it's this tinsel Christmas mix. It's messy, but it's beautiful. I don't use it often, but I absolutely love it. It gets everywhere because it's not glitter, it's little pieces of tinsel, but it gets everywhere because it's very light and airy, kind of like how glitter is. So if you breathe too hard, it's going to go everywhere. So now we're just going to remove all that backing tape. And now you realize, at least I did, why did I have to have so many small pieces? Because I have to take off that much more release tape as long. I love when it's all one big slit and it just comes off in bigger areas and little pieces here and there. But you got to do what you got to do to make your frame for your shaker. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and get all of this release tape off and try to get some of these shaker bits off the foam tape so it still is going to stick really well. And I probably should have done the release tape first and then put the shaker bits in, but I thought I would end up getting too much of it on the actual sticky part because I've done that before too. So you never know how it's going to go until it goes. And here we go on that last piece. Go ahead and take that right off. And there we have the base, and we're just going to go ahead and get our back of our card. And I want, again, it to be top opening, so I'm just going to now make sure I have it that way instead of sideways. And then I'm just going to layer my back piece right on top of my foam tape and make sure I get a really good pressure and adhere it together, making contact with that foam tape. And now I have one that has a cute little shaker window in it. But we're missing the center of our O, so I just have to find the one that we cut out, which still happened to be in my die, which was perfect. And I just have to put a little bit of glue on the back side here. And you don't have to put the center of the letters. Some people like that, like when the center of the A is gone or the B's. I like when the centers are still there. I think I just like the way it looks. So I'm just going to put my center back in there. And there we go. There is the top side of our card. Now we have to poke our hole. So it's all repetitive on the actual construction of the card. We're just making our tops in different ways, showing you different ways that you can use your dies and make decorative elements. Okay, so now we're going to take those sprigs again, same as before, and we're going to go ahead and glue them in place. And I really love when I'm able to find different ways to use dies that I already have. And these were, again, from our woodland die set. And then to find out, like, but they work perfectly for holidays as well. So I was really happy about that. And then, of course, using a mini album die part, which is the panels of the inside, to make gift tags, I thought was a really nice way for you guys to able to stretch again the dies that you might already have. And obviously, if you don't have our Gatefold Mini Abum die, but you have, say, a hang tag die, all you have to do is score one part of a hang tag, especially the part that starts to miter in, to use that as your flap. And then you can make those into gift tags as well. Just so many different ways, you know, that you can relook at dies that you already have and use them in fun new ways and come up with something completely new. Okay, so just getting those little berries on. And then again with our twine. And again, we're just going to loop it through and then tie it off at a length that we want. And then trim the excess. And now we have our second one done, our shaker one, which I think is a lot of fun. So there's our inlay one and our shaker one. And now we're going to go ahead and start our third one. I don't really know what to call it. I'm going to call it a trifold. And we're making our actual background part for it. So now on this one, though, we need double the amounts of the base. So we're going to do our base like we did before and cut out the joy window. And then we're going to have another one of the bases because we're going to make it into a trifold. And we're going to end up gluing them together to open up. So on that second one, we're going to take a piece of the double-sided tape. And we're going to lay that down. So on the first panel, we've done the same way we did before. It is 2 panels together, are glittered decorated on top of it, and then we cut the word die out of the top layer. Then we're taking another 2 panels, and on one of the panels, we're putting double-sided tape. And now we're going to create a fun little background. I cut all of these strips of the papers that matched the ones that I've already done in the red and the green glitter that we've used prior. And then just to be able to give it one more color, I added in silver because I thought that would be festive as well. And I just cut them in all the same widths. And I just cut, I didn't know how many I needed, so I just cut a ton of strips. And what we're going to do is we're going to remove the backing paper. This one is the one that was probably not difficult, but the most time consuming of them all. So I kind of put them in order. The inlay one is fast and easy, then the shaker card, and then this one. And then all we're going to do is on an angle because, let's face it, unless you're really, really awesome and perfect, if we were to lay them straight, I'm sure at some point one of us, it would end up not with a straight one. But on a diagonal, if you go a little off, no one really notices as much. So I'm just going to take these strips and I'm just going to adhere them on that sticky side of the paper. And I'm just going to make my own little fun, glitzy, inside, decorative look so that all of my cards match. Now, obviously, if you have designer paper that you're using and you have the papers that match, then you wouldn't have to do this. But I also thought it was, you know, I like to be creative and I thought it was fun to kind of make my own inside panel. So we're just going to go and layer these all down diagonal to diagonal on that one panel piece. Just got to get the right color. I need a silver. There we go. And again, because we're using that double-sided 3M paper, and we do carry this paper, and it's good. It's in a shape that works for A2 and slimline cards. And it's super, it is the 3M brand, so you know that it's going to be a good quality. And it is going to stick forever. But it's super sticky. There is really no room for error once you put something down on it. That's probably the only downfall. Okay, so we're nearly done here, getting these last bits of paper. Just a few more stripes, and then this whole piece is going to be covered. Just a green, and we probably can get one more. I think we need one more. Yeah, we need red for that last little piece here. And then it's all covered. Perfect. Okay. And I'm again, just with my brayer, just make sure I get a really good connection to everything. And then we're just going to turn it over, and you're just going to snip up all the excess. Just so it all matches our card shape. Obviously, if you did it in straight lines, you would be able to have cut them down to the perfect size, but on a diagonal, you need them a little bit longer. But look at how gorgeous that turned out. I absolutely love it. It looks like it's a piece of paper that you just glued together, but secretly you know that you created that. And we're going to have it so that that is going to be what goes behind our window. So we get another look here. Now the thing is, because the paper is thick, that I used on my base, and this is where it's going to vary for you guys depending on what you're using. Mine was so thick that it's going to end up, I need to trim it a little bit, because then the edges, when it gets folded, it pushes the inside piece out a little bit, and then it's not going to line up proper. So you might have to trim a little bit off the top of your piece there so that it fits the way you want it to. And we're going to still have to punch our hole in there, but we're going to go ahead, and I'm just kind of trying to figure out where I need to trim. And I'm just going to trim a small part off the top edge of that paper we just created. Again, that's just because I want it to line up, and it gets a little bulky. You can see how it pushes it out on the bottom there. So I'm just going to trim it a little bit more. And it really is going to all depend on the weight of the paper that you used. I was using watercolor paper for my bases, so it is a thicker cardstock than the standard. And now that I got it to fit a little bit better, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue the two back pieces together. And then what ends up forming is a 3-panel, like a flip trifold card. And then you can make a larger message in there when the person or the recipient opens it up. The only thing, it is a little bit tricky because of the tie when we put it in there. You have to kind of loosen the tie in order for the whole trifold to open. But if you were making these as note cards without a hole with the ribbon, then it's going to be completely perfect. because there'd be nothing holding that down. So again, we're just going to take our brayer, lining it up, and then making sure it is securely glued together, like so. And then you flip the bottom up and the top down, and you get this cute little look with that joy again. Now this one, I can't put the center in my O, because then it would be just a weird looking inside of an O on that diagonal paper that we made, so we don't want to do that. And again here, I'm just trying to wiggle the paper because it was too thick, just to make sure, especially once I add the hole punch. Making sure that it lines up. It's a thicker amount that I have to punch through this time. And now we're going to go ahead and add our sprigs, just like before. I couldn't find my sprigs, so I said, okay, let's do the string first. So now we're going to go ahead and put that in, and I will show you what I mean about it not going to be able to open that bottom part. See, once you have it secured in there, so you need to do it that you would have to kind of loosen up a bit of your string when you do the square part, the square knot. Again, if you're doing it as a note card, it's not that big of a deal. But as a gift card, not a gift card, a gift hang tag, they would have to kind of loosen the string up a little bit in order to open that flip part of the window. And you don't even have to make it a trifold if you didn't want to. You could have just made the inside of your card with the diagonal. I just wanted, again, to show you a different way of things that you can do with it. I would make it as a longer string, obviously, so that you can open better, because you don't want them to have to like open the string to open up the card to actually read the message that you might give to them. So ideally, it's not functional as well as the other ones. But this was more about technique and different things that you can do than it was about anything. But I would do them as note cards 100%. I think it's really cool to have it as a trifold note card. You could even do it in an A2 size or slimline size as well, following that technique. So now I just got to go and find my sprigs because I don't know where I put them. As much as I prep to do these videos and I put things off to the side so I can have and use them, I swear I put them down and they just literally vanish on me all the time. It's like there's a ghost in my house that's like stealing all of the pieces I need when I need them because they're never where they are, where I know I'm like, I put them right there. And then I go back to that place and they're just mysteriously always missing. And I'm sure a lot of you relate to that. You put something down and then 2 seconds later it is gone. That is the joy of crafting. Or should I say the curse of crafting? Everything goes missing. You probably own 20 pairs of scissors and you're lucky you can find one when you need it. That's just how it happens. All right, so now I need to go ahead and punch some more of our little red hollies. So I'm just using my standard hole punch and I'm just going and making those last 3 that we need. And then we can go ahead and glue those down. But again, just look at your dies in new ways that you can use them. Creating something new with something old. A lot of them have multiple functions if you just look at them in new ways. Okay, and there we have our final tag. So now I just showed you 3 different ways to make gift tags for the holidays with an inlay, a shaker, and then the diagonal trifold. I hope you had fun. I had fun. Thank you for joining me, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.